like they never had
I do that all the time. All right, we ready?
I didn't know there was any other.
I'd like to call the Thursday, February 3rd, school board meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Member Rayfield, would you please take roll call?
Thank you. Member Luthner.
Present.
Member Lansdale.
Here.
Member Rayfield is present. Member Corcoran.
Here.
Member Peterson.
Here.
Member Tyson. Member Tyson's absent. Member Kettle. Member Kettle is absent.
At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Changes? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Scheduled and unscheduled visitors. Member Luthner?
We had 12 people speak, a few people spoke twice, mostly on the topics of masks and equity.
Thank you, Member Luthner. We will move to student achievement. Principal Caldwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the school board. Again, it's a privilege to bring another student group from the high school here to present tonight. We have our Black Student Union, which started several years ago and is led by Miss Jenny O'Donnell. Jenny and Mr. Hunter is doing registration tonight, so he was not able to make it. But Jenny has really done a phenomenal job taking a group of students and doing a lot of positive things at the high school. And with that, I'm going to step aside and invite Mr. Caldwell up here to introduce our students and then their short presentation. Jenny.
Hi, I'm going to introduce the students and then they're going to talk. We've got Galen Buck, Uma Wasson, Sakayla Farah, and Fatima, middle last name, Fatima Saldivar Buena. I shared a presentation with Joy. Oh, yes, sure.
I can't get the other projector. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to watch that one.
Hi, I'm Gayleen, and I'm a sophomore and a dedicated member of Black Student Union. I'm also a student council, youth executive board, youth service club, and I'm a girls basketball manager.
Hi, I'm Uma Watson. I'm also a sophomore and a dedicated member of VSU. And I'm also part of student council, youth service club. I play volleyball. I'm also part of the girls.
Hey guys, I'm Savela. I'm a junior. I'm a dedicated member of VSU, and I'm also a girls basketball manager.
Hi, I'm Fatima. I'm a sophomore and a dedicated member of the Black Student Union. I am also on student council, youth service club, and a girls basketball manager.
For VSU, our mission statement is we promote and educate equity and racial justice for students of color and in a predominantly white school.
So in Black Student Union and Latinx Club, we incorporate Black history year-round. We share our experiences at school, we support and encourage each other, and we also confront and document issues and occurrences of racism and hate speech in our school with assistance from certain staff members.
So for meetings, we meet weekly on Thursday at 7:30 in the morning and afternoons. We also meet bi-weekly as BIPOC leaders with Kiri Saffold. We also have annual Black History Month showcases, and as needed for special events.
So we have a Black History Month showcase annually every February, and this year it is on February 18th at 5:30 p.m. at the Ed Center. And Basically, we will have high school students who will showcase their selections of written selections, and then we have a step group that will come and perform, and we also have professional musicians who also perform for us. So this is our poster for our BIPOC Leaders Group. It is an all-inclusive group that will be focusing on supporting Black, Indigenous, and people of color students attending Forest Lake. This is our poster for our Black History Month showcase, and we would like for you to attend. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Worse.
Hi, Dr. Jill.
Member Landstrom?
Great presentation. Thank you so much. Is this the whole group or is this just a sampling of the people in the group?
This is just a sampling of people.
Yeah.
We have like at least 20 more.
Wonderful. Oh, very great. Thank you so much.
I'm just intrigued by the basketball managers too. Are you women's, men's? What are you different girls? The girls team. Okay. Are you all varsity managers then, or
All teams.
That's fabulous that you guys can have that commonality to your group. That's fabulous. But what a great presentation, and it's just nice to know you have like 20, 25 people in your group. And is it grown since it started? When did it all start? And kind of did you guys spearhead that?
It started like a few years back with,
Your sister started.
Killing's sister. That's wonderful. And I did go to a few volleyball games, so I did see you play. Played very well. It was an exciting match. I forgot which one. It was toward the end. You guys were winning. It was great. So fun. But yeah, you guys, this is a great presentation. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Can't believe you. So thank you for coming also. And so one of the reasons we asked to have student groups come and visit us is because we can't be there and we don't know what we don't know about the high school. So is there, I loved your presentation, it was really factual, and now I know more about what you do in the school, but if there's something that you could wave a magic wand and have it change about the school, what would it be? And I'm totally putting you on the spot, but.
Probably to because to reduce the amount of hate speech we hear around the school, probably that.
Because when you're walking in the hallway, you just hear side comments here and there, here and there.
So sorry.
You can't really control certain people, but yeah.
When George Floyd died, and and that wave of stuff hit our schools, we tried to reach out and ask students and former students, what we can do better. And one of the things we heard is that a lot of the stuff that we're teaching in history is not appropriate, right? It puts people in difficult positions. It doesn't represent things right. And I think we've tried to do a better job of representing, all voices in history. And I was just wondering if you've seen any change, or if there's, do you feel like there's a lot of work to do, or do you feel like we're working hard enough to have the classes that you're taking represent your worldview and where you come from and the way you're thinking?
Yeah, I just recently took world history, and we were learning about other parts of the world other than the US, so that's kind of nice too. So I really enjoyed that. We learned about Asia, Europe, and stuff like that, and a little bit of Africa. So it was nice.
Yeah.
There's always more you could add. So it's definitely way more good.
I agree with what you said. Obviously, I think right now there has been change for the better. So I thank you guys for that. But obviously, there's still a lot of work to do to improve it. But so far, I think it's getting better.
Yeah, well, I hope your group considers themselves to be part of that process, and we really value your input.
Any other questions for us?
Are you guys gonna show us Black History Month showcase?
Yeah, we will be there.
I wrote it down.
So
Me too.
Joey, can you send us that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll include the weekend up.
February 18th.
Yeah, I've attended in the past, it's great, I really enjoy it, it's nice to see all the folks that show up.
Right, and I'm really glad you didn't have to, I'm really glad you're doing everything you're doing. I wish you didn't have to fight so hard. So I'll do everything I can to help.
Well, thank you so much for coming tonight, and I just want to say that there's no place in Forest Lake Schools for ignorant hate speech, and anytime that we hear it, I know it'll be dealt with swiftly, so I hope that everyone else listening out there is keeping their ears open and it's handled quickly. We have no place for it here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
We will move on to special education presentation. Your lessons.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Massey, Chair Pearson, and members of the board. Each month you have a positive happening, and this month we're going to focus on special education. And there's a lot of good things going on in the special ed world, but I think the number one piece is the STEP program. So I asked Chad Eriksrud, the secondary special ed coordinator, to come and join us and walk through the STEP program, which is a part of the final end of the levy passing several years ago, or the bond passing the building. So, Chad, you can start.
Hey, good evening. My name is Chad Eriksrud. I'm the secondary special education coordinator and the supervisor of the STEP program. And we've had a lot of excitement around the STEP program this year. We moved from a space that we thought was meeting our educational needs to a space that is amazing. We love the new space that we're in, and you'll see in the presentation today about all the opportunities that our students are receiving that they didn't get in our previous location. Here's a picture of the back entrance of what used to be the Early Childhood Center, door 7. That is our primary entrance into the STEP program. We have a temporary sign that we put up on the STEP program to just kind of let people know where we were. This will be a short-term sign. We'll work on a long-term sign at a later date, but we're happy with the location and our entrance to the rear of the building. Some of the positive updates to the STEP program that people might not even think about. We have a secure exterior doors, so the building is fully locked, and we have the capability to buzz into the building now, which in our old space we had a doorbell, and people would press the doorbell and we'd have to come check the doorbell. So now we have secure exterior doors. We have the ability to fob in and out of the building like all the other buildings. And this is maybe not as exciting to you, but it is to me that we actually have a bus lane now. We have the capability of buses to come in and line up for our students to safely come out to the building. And in our old space, we would have to bring in 2 buses, they'd radio to the next buses, the next bus would come in, radio to the next bus, and then we'd have staggered end time at our school. Now we have a full bus lane where the buses pull up, we load the buses, and away they go. So that extends our educational time because we don't have to have students leave to get on their bus. They can all leave together now at the end of the day and go to their buses and leave. So we actually gained about 15 minutes of instructional time by moving into this new space, which is awesome. We also have a large parking lot now where at our previous space we had about 6 spots, and the rest of us would have to park on the street down the road. So the parking spaces are amazing. And then we have some just awesome green space around the outside of the building where we're really excited for this spring to get outside and utilize all that great green space that we'll have outside. In the renovation, we're able to put in a teaching kitchen, which is ADA compliant. The entire kitchen was built with ADA compliance in mind. The stoves have the knobs on the front of the stove so individuals in wheelchairs can wheel up to the stove. All of the sinks have cutouts underneath them so students in wheelchairs can wheel up to the sink and work at the sink. We also have a chopping station where individuals in wheelchairs can go to that area. We also have a washer and dryer in this space, and we also have technology where we have a Mimeo board on the other wall. So this space, to me, is state of the art. And I'll guarantee you there's not another transition program in the state of Minnesota that has a kitchen like this. Look at the smiles on their faces. These are two of our students of the STEP program that are enjoying working in the kitchen. The pride that our students have for this new space is unbelievable. You'll see in a number of the pictures that I'll show you that they're all smiles. They have a lot of pride in this space. They're proud of the program. They're happy to be there. And this space is really meeting their needs. We're able to dedicate some spaces for our vocational skills development, which is a big part of our STEP program. We have one space that's dedicated to our Rangers Supporting Rangers program, which is our food packaging program for students in the district that have needs for the weekend. So the STEP program students, as part of their skills development, work on all the packaging of the food. And then we also deliver them out to the elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school. And so that students have adequate food for the weekends if they're in need. We also have developed a really cool program called the Community Closet, where we sent an email out to district employees and asked them to donate gently used clothing to our school. And through a very generous donation from Tefla and from Faith Lutheran Church, we're able to set up our own thrift store. So we have our own thrift store within the STEP program, where we get items from staff members within the district, we sort them and organize them, display them, and then families in need in the district can come into the thrift store, and there's no cost for these items. So families can come in and get clothing at no cost to them, so there's no exchange of funds. Next are a few pictures of our community closet. On the top is the signage that we're working on for the space, and then it's broken up by different sections. We have children's section, we have young adult section, we have adult sections, we have shorts and jeans and sweatshirt and coats and snow pants. We have pretty much anything a family would need for school. Right now we're working with school counselors to identify families in the district that may have a need to use the community closet, and they can make an appointment with us, come in, shop within our community closet. Our students will help them and show them where to find items, and they'll leave there with clothing for their families at no cost. One of our great upgrades is we now have a very large handicap accessible bathroom, where if you look at the first picture, there's a toilet with the bars that help students. Then we have a changing table that's a high-low table for individuals that need more support. And we also added a shower to our program, which serves a number of different purposes. Sometimes we have students that struggle with hygiene, which is a barrier to employment. So we try to teach them appropriate hygiene skills, and we have the ability for them to take showers in our program. Also, we have some lower functioning students that may have an accident during the school day and will require some cleaning, and the shower is amazing for us to be able to help in that capacity. We also now have space within our building to have a professional space for IEP meetings. Prior to moving to the new space, all of our meetings have to be after the school day because we didn't have space within our program. Now we're able to hold IEP meetings during the school day, which provides more flexibility to families if they're only able to meet at certain times of the day. We also have some dedicated office spaces. We have an administrative office, which was my office. We have a work-based learning teacher's office where right there's our work-based learning coordinator that's providing one-on-one career counseling to one of our students. She wasn't able to have an office space at our previous space, so now she's able to meet individually with students on career development. We also have shared office space for school-based mental health resources that come into our school, and also have an office space for vocational rehabilitation services to the state of Minnesota that also provide career counseling to our students. We also have spacious classrooms. If you can see the big smile on this young man's face. Our classrooms before were quite small. Now we have very nice sized classrooms where students can spread out, and it's just a great setting for our students. We also upgraded all of our technology within our program. We had one smart board to share amongst all the teachers in our old space. Now we have upgraded Mimeo boards in each of our classrooms, and we also have a portable Mimeo board in our commons space, which used to be the Strive space or the old library, that we can hold professional development in that space. Here are a few pictures of some of our students in the commons or the old Strive space. Up on the top, students are playing air hockey, which we are working on developing lifelong recreation and leisure skills. On the bottom, students are playing Jenga, but in essence, they're really working on their communication skills. And on the right, we have a district level literacy professional development that's going on in a large common space, which we did not have the capability to do that prior either. The space also provides some unique opportunities to some of our unique learners. On the left, we have a young man with a visual impairment that's working on orientation and mobility training. So this provides an amazing opportunity for him to orient to a larger space. He's working on his cane skills in this picture. In the other picture, we have one of our teachers working with students on some home maintenance skill development. They're learning how to use a drill, and they're building a table in this picture. We also were able to move over additional itinerant staff that our itinerant staff get moved frequently. I'd say the longest they stay in one location is probably 2 years, and then principal needs that space and we have to find a new space for them. Now we have a whole section at the STEP CLC program for our itinerant staff. We have 9 office spaces for 27 staff, and we also have 2 classrooms that are broken up for storage space for OT and PT. There's a picture of some of our physical therapy equipment that needs space. So this group loves their new office spaces. I'd say they're more productive because they have dedicated office spaces, and they just love the STEP location. So in a nutshell, that's the STEP program moving over to the old Central Learning Center. It's a great use of the Central Learning Center space. We benefit greatly from that space. I've had some area school districts hear about our program, reach out, and want to come out and take a look at our program, and they're quite envious of our program and the space that we have. So I just want to thank you for moving forward with allowing us to move into that space. It provides amazing opportunities for our students.
Yeah, talk about enrollment, where kids come from as well, and the growth of enrollment.
Yeah. Right now, we currently have 43 students, and we do have students we have a student from Blaine, we have a student from White Bear Lake, we draw from the Chisago Lakes School District area. So we do benefit from open enrollment from some of our area school districts that want to come to our program.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
I just want to thank you because I haven't seen the space. Yeah. So it was exciting to see how nice it can look.
It does look great.
Taking the tours of the old CLC, what that looked like. So it's a great improvement. And the kids just, having those lifelong skills, it's such a wonderful thing to see how happy it makes them as well. So thank you for sharing.
I appreciate, there was what I expected, which is what was in the old building being at the new building. That's great to see, but I am really impressed with all the extras you managed to get in there in different services. I had a family member who was a deaf translator, and she had to buy a nice car because that was her office, because there's never a place for her. So it's a great thing to have a home base, even if you're still going around to all the different schools. So it's just a very impressive list of things that you managed to get in there. And the creativity, having the store and the kitchen, and I'm sure this was like you've spent so many years thinking of it. It's so nice to see it now.
Yeah.
The community closet's been his dream for about 5 years.
That looks like a dream come true.
Yeah, and everything just kind of came together. We had the vision. We reached out, we applied for a TEFLA grant, and we received a large TEFLA grant. I was talking to one of my colleagues about how expensive the racks and those things were, and she said, well, I just talked to somebody at Family Pathways, and we found a vendor in the cities that sells used merchandise. So we reached out to that vendor, and they came out and supported us and helped us find things that were affordable. They delivered them out to us. We reached out to the school district employees, and it's been overwhelming how many clothes the staff have been bringing in 2 weeks. We filled that whole thing up in 2 weeks. So now we need families that are in need to come in and start shopping in our community store. Renee Reedy is working with me on a communication to get out to staff first, and then we're going to work on a communication out to families because we're ready. We're ready to serve families in the district that maybe are in need of clothing.
The community closet, is it for kids only, or do you take adult stuff too?
We take adult as well because students at the high school, wear adult clothing.
Yes.
So we have anywhere from baby clothing all the way up to adult clothing.
I just love the concept. You're teaching them working skills, but you're also teaching them how to serve and help others as well at the same time. So kudos, Chad.
Thank you.
Are you gonna, because I didn't see any of them.
I've not
You
seen
did
any
go out,
either.
but, I mean, I've been giving things to Goodwill for years, and just to know that we have these options now to get into the STEP program, I mean, I just think that needs to be more publicized.
Yeah.
Because I definitely would, I have a lot of friends that are getting rid of things, right?
Yes, we have to be a little bit careful. We don't want to get to the community.
I know. but
You're
clothing.
considered district staff, so we
Yeah.
would accept clothing from district staff.
Okay.
But we don't want to get out to the community because we don't want to get too many clothing.
We also don't want to take away from Pathways and Goodwill and those,
Yeah.
so we're keeping it within our district. Staff bringing in, and then for students, and also the students' families, if there's parents that need something, there's definitely clothes there. But we're not, our attempt is not to replace or change Pathways or Goodwill, but definitely a skill building for our students, and then also there's no cost of our students. Or there's a fire or what have you, that they can have it, they get the clothing for free.
Yeah, and we have boots and shoes and snow pants and coats, scarves. We pretty much have everything within our store. So, we're
And then we
ready.
needed to establish the space, and then the more of that communication will go out, just don't grow too fast or it'll be way too overwhelming.
And the staff and students are working really hard, and they're really excited about doing this work. So it's a win-win situation.
And kudos to Chad and another teacher, and also Debbie LaGrill, the specialist admin assistant, her husband, came in several weekends and put up the racks, put them together and on the wall. So community volunteers as well.
So each of these students at our Forest Lakes, for example, are kids that you would meet at graduation, if not elsewhere. They don't technically graduate, because they've got transition goals, and they enter the STEP program for a year, 2 or 3, to work on those goals and transition to more independence as they enter adulthood. So it's just a powerful program and life-changing for many, many kids.
Yeah, I just, as we're doing our strategic plan and we're talking, all over the place, we say every student, so it's always been really a source of pride for me, and I know the rest of the board, when we see the work that you guys are doing there. And it's just really nice to see a building that kind of rises up to the level of work and care and love that you guys put into it. So I'm just thrilled to see it.
I just want to say thank you for the presentation, because I haven't had the opportunity to get over there, but I definitely want to get over there and see it myself firsthand. And it's really a thank you to the community for approving the bond back when we approved that to allow us to do this upgrade to the facilities. And a real testament to how facilities matter, right? Facilities matter in the quality of education that we're able to provide. So for all those folks who stepped up to vote in favor of it, these are the things that really make a difference. And we've seen so many of them in other parts of our district, but here's one more where it's really changing lives. So I'd really, really like to see that work, and I thank you for the presentation.
Well said.
We'll be over to visit.
I love giving tours.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for allowing us to be here.
Great.
Thank you, Director Wilson. So we will move on to positive happenings. Who wants to start? Anyone?
I'll start.
Member Landstrom?
So like most of you, I attended MSBA Leadership Conference. It was excellent. And I also got to attend another Mounds View Forest Lake girls hockey game. And again, Forest Lake won. We won in overtime, 3-2. It was incredible.
Anyone else?
I just, spring's in the air, and
It is.
that's just such a positive. I can feel it, right? That's all I got.
You were on vacation.
That way. So I'll keep it brief. got to go over to the high school and get briefed on what I'm in for the next 4 to 8 years. And it's nice to hear at this level what we're doing, and then it's nice to go as a parent and see from that side how it translates. And it was a well-done presentation, and I feel prepared.
Miss the MSBA was great, and the speakers were wonderful. I mean, we had a couple of like really energetic lady speakers, and really it gets you rejuvenated, I think, and re-energized for the start of the year. And I really appreciate all their trainings, and I get to learn a lot when I go. So and see a lot of people from other districts, and we got recognized for our award. Of course, you have to get a picture eventually of our group here at the district office with you, Dr. Massey, when we're all back. So, but that was great to get.
Yeah, I also attended MSBA, and it was a great, like you said, it's a great time to really, kind of dig in and learn some things about school board and spend some time with other school board members from other areas and talk to them, which is always great. And then I also attended with Member Luthner the orientation to high school registration, and I've seen so many of those pieces here at different times, but it's great to sit there and see it from the parents' perspective and see how it all comes together. And it was really good. It was really good. And Member Luthner did say, and I'm going to steal your thunder at the board meeting and tell everyone I was there first. So.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. So then we will move on to reports. And before we start reports, I want to say that next month we will have the opportunity, because I didn't bring this up to everyone, to submit your report in writing in an effort to accelerate the school board meeting, and they will be included with the board minutes. So if you want to report, you can still have the opportunity. I will go to reports if there's something you really feel needs to be brought out in the school board meeting, but if not, we can submit it in writing, a brief report, and then we will just include those, email them in to Joy, I think, and then we'll just include those in the minutes, and we can speed up our school board meeting.
That's great.
So with that, we have workshops and conferences. I think we all spoke about MSBA. Go ahead, Member Luthner.
I attended the C conference. I sent notes on that one. I did, and it's basically, it was Governor Walz's run through of what's in his budget, which is a fantastic looking document at the moment. And any further questions I can take offline.
Well done, report.
Thank you. I like short reports.
Any other workshops, conferences anyone wants to report on? All right, we'll move on. Member Ketto is absent for 9/16. Buildings and grounds, we went over the usual. Member Ketto is absent. Building facilities issues, and one of the things in Bill's report was the struggles of our custodians. We are shorthanded right now, so kudos to those guys for keeping everything moving, because they are down some staff. So if anybody out there is looking, we're also looking. We'll move to the City of Forest Lake. Member Luthner.
And I did not actually email this one out, but I read through their minutes. I introduced myself as their new liaison. It was a very administrative meeting for January. I was interested to see that they had to renew licenses every year. So there are 20 places that can sell tobacco, 27 places that can sell liquor, 18 trash haulers, and 5 massage therapy locations. So just in case you're wondering, in the town of Forest Lake, there will be 8 new parking spots at Target. There is 1 new police officer, and they are looking for a finance director. So that is the City of Forest Lake at 100 words or less.
All right, thank you, Member Luthner. We'll move to communications. Member Rayfield.
Yeah, I was not able to be at the meeting, so I did not have a report.
Sounds good. We'll move to community education. Member Rayfield, I imagine you were absent for that as well.
I was absent.
All right. Curriculum, instruction, and equity. Member Landstrom.
Our meeting was rescheduled for February.
Member Landstrom. Hey, this is going really good. Equity in our schools. Member Rayfield.
Yeah, one thing that, a really important issue with equity is homelessness and the ability of kids to get to school and have a stable school experience. And And that's what tonight's report is kind of talking about. As we reach the halfway point of our school year, Forest Lake Area Schools has 57 students who have experienced housing instability or homelessness this year. It is important to note that this number is most likely an undercount because of the societal stigma associated with housing instability. Students are identified as experiencing housing instability according to the criteria described in the McKinney-Vento Homelessness Assistance Act. This law assures homeless youth have access to the same free, appropriate public education as provided to other children. This includes expedited enrollment, automatic free or reduced lunch qualification, transportation to school of origin, along with academic and other support services. New educators learn about this act in ways that Forest Lake Area School identifies and supports students and families who qualify. Just a critical issue.
Thank you, Member Rayfield, and it really is. And we'll move to finance, Member Reporter.
Okay, so we talked about the budget updates, fiscal year 22, 23, and we also spent a lot of time on our self-funded insurance program, looking at some of the rates increasing as far as our amount that we have in reserve. So that's going to be discussed a lot in the next few months, going out to staff and just getting some input about the insurance program. Talked about we talked a lot about a lot of things, and also looking ahead for the finance committee, we're going to be looking at some budget reviews from February and also talking more about the insurance. And then March, we're going to look at the budget again and look at MMKR is going to come and do a current yearly review in March. And then we're going to be looking at legislative updates in April and also more budgeting reviews. That's my report.
Thank you, Member Corcoran. We'll move to Policy Committee, Member Landstrom.
We discussed the 3 policies under new business on the agenda tonight.
Member Landstrom. Staff Welfare. Who wants to go? Member Lindsay.
I wasn't here. It was canceled.
by herself. She was all by herself.
I was here.
Sorry.
Dr. Mass and I had a nice conversation.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Actually went over superintendent's goals, but not officially.
All right, we'll move on to the Superintendent Reporter, Dr. Massey.
Thank you, and thank you for going so quickly and yielding all your time back. You know, there is a lot of shifting with COVID cases, so I want to show you some charts and data that our team here looks at a lot, and I want to get this in front of you because we've got current practices in place that were put in place at the start of the year, continued from last year at the start of it, and continued this year to address high levels of COVID, surging COVID cases. This is a chart that was published just today from Minnesota Department of Health. This is the 7-day moving average of cases. On the far right is Omicron, the rapid spike that we have all become familiar with. And on the backside of that, the rapid decline. It is going down almost as fast as it went up. And where it's currently at is not just at the peak and we're beginning to turn the corner, but it is dropping rapidly on a statewide case rate level. That is further illustrated with test positivity rate. Again, you can see the spikes from the very beginning and the worst of it last year, Delta, and on the far right, the spike with Omicron. And you can see the test positivity rate just in the last 2 weeks dropping dramatically. This is 7-day moving average of ICU and hospitalizations, which tends to lag cases. I'm speaking like I'm an expert. I'm just telling you what I read. I'm far from a medical expert here. But you read enough and you study enough of this that you become a bit versed into this, and we talk about this every week as with our administrators. Similar to cases, ICU rates and hospitalization rates are also going down. And then, interestingly, when we get outside of the Minnesota Department of Health, the Med Council is studying Twin Cities wastewater for the 7-county metro area, which is not dependent on who tests and test reliability. It's what's in the water. The gray shaded area on the bottom is the the case rates based on testing. The blue dots and the 7-day average with the blue line working its way through that is charting Twin Cities wastewater in the 7-county metro area. Again, same pattern, Omicron to the far right, big time spike beginning in November, surging at the holiday break and as we return to January. And now those are not just projected declines, but real declines, as evidenced in wastewater in the Twin Cities area. So what does that mean in terms of, this is evidence of what's going on statewide, right? And then the question I think that's fair to ask is, what are we seeing at schools? Because we had an enormous challenge with busing due to staff absences related to illness and COVID cases. We had a real challenge, and recently, coming back from break especially, with staff absences from food service, paraprofessionals, bus drivers I mentioned, custodians, and teachers, where we had many days where we were struggling in our schools finding subs to fill for teachers, putting enormous strain on our schools. Student cases, the week of January 10th, we had 151 reported student cases district-wide. Next week, 156, just last week, or 2 weeks ago. Last week, 65. We're currently at 56 cases this week through Thursday, and we'll have a similar number, probably around 65 or so by the end of the day tomorrow. Half the cases being reported, right? Admittedly, that is dependent on who's testing and who's sharing those results. But I don't think we have lower report rate in week 3 than we did in January 24th than we did January 10th. You know that we were facing 5, 6, upwards to 10. Those of you that have kids on buses, you get the emails, making other arrangements to get your kids to schools. It is a big time challenge on our community and families. And today for tomorrow, we're canceling 3 buses. Today was just 1 bus. We're now averaging about 2 buses a day because the illness rate, the absence rate of bus drivers is dramatically improved. And John Gray and his team, just a heck of an effort on recruiting, training, and getting bus drivers licensed, keys to our buses, and picking up routes. Our staff absence rate from our unfilled absence rate was hovering around 45% of fill rate, I should say. The fill rate at about 45% for absences. We were at 65%. So more subs in the system, less people ill, more teachers in the classroom, more stability throughout our schools. Currently, Columbus and Wyoming are the only elementary schools currently masking due to a 5% or greater illness rate. So we're seeing in our schools a similar improvement that the charge would indicate that we would see in our schools. We still have mitigation strategies in place around testing, masking, and vaccinations. We've ordered 2 rounds of state tests, antigen tests and rapid tests. Each test kit has 2 tests in it. We ordered close to 14,000 total test kits, which would be 28,000 individual tests available for any student and staff member. They were designed for 1 test per student and staff. Now it's 2 tests per student and staff. And we believe we're going to have ample tests, so we are providing those tests for any staff member or student who needs more than 2. If they're in close contact or feeling ill and they want to continue the test. We also ordered just over 3,400 KN95 masks provided by the state. Those will be on in district here shortly, probably sometime next week. And those are provided based on the size of those masks for secondary students and staff throughout the district. And we're currently working with Minnesota Department of Health to set up a vaccination clinic in the district. Most likely at Forest Lake Elementary. Ms. Wilson, is that correct? I think you've been working directly with them on that.
Yeah.
So we haven't totally landed on the date yet, but a later date here in February, 28, 30 days later in March, looking at a Saturday, and providing first, second, and booster shots at these clinics. And just bringing that for the convenience right on deck here in the district. We all know that we are not pushing vaccinations. They're available. We advertise them. We do recommend them. But the choice it's a choice that families need to make if they want to vaccinate their children. We encourage families to have those consultations with their doctor and make choices that are best for their families. So that is my COVID update. I'll pause there and see if you have any questions or if you need anything clarified.
Add one thing. So I took one of those COVID tests, and negative is 2 lines. Very scary thing to see those 2 lines develop. So just for anybody who's watching, when you're watching it develop, your camera reads more on it, but they're the ones from the school. And someone else told me, but I was like in a panic when it was 2 lines. And that was negative.
Well,
Interesting.
well, you actually use your
Yes,
phone.
you use a phone.
And then it goes somewhere, and somebody interprets the results.
Yes.
And will tell you if it's positive.
And they can have up to 5 different lines that only your camera can see. Somebody called customer service.
I've never taken a home one.
It's a great resource for us, quite frankly.
It's different than the ones that I had bought, so just for anybody who thinks, oh my gosh, it's panic time.
So I have a question. Do parents, do they report when their child gets vaccinated? Is there any kind of reporting or?
No, they don't report, but we can capture that data from the state.
We can.
Okay,
And
that
we
was
don't
my
track
question.
it by student, we track it as an aggregate.
Okay.
For we think we're probably around 45 or so % vaccination rate at our high school. A little bit less than that at our middle school, probably under 20% of the
Yeah, I just wasn't sure how we knew that. Okay, thank you.
Again, I stress we're not tracking that on who is vaccinated,
Right.
who isn't.
Just an aggregate of students. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
The one thing I would indicate to the board is with us entering into a better situation with Omicron and COVID overall, it's cause for us to begin to look at our mitigation efforts and strategies. I think we made it through these surges because we had good mitigation strategies in place. We were diligent about them, but with less COVID in the community, there are things that we need to continue to look at by way of some of our mitigation efforts, and we will do that in the coming days and weeks. Okay, quick update on the legislature. Legislature started their session this week. We know this is a bonding year at the legislature. They set the 2-year biennial budget last year, in which we received 2.45% per pupil funding increase, formula increase for year 1, that's this year, 2% increase in year 2, and a little bit of money is on special education and some other, but largely funding put on the per pupil formula. This year, the budget, in the middle year, the bonding year, their task is to pass a bonding bill, and not necessarily spending, but with a $7.7 billion surplus, there is a lot of conversation around a supplemental spending budget with those dollars. The House and the governor would love to see dollars go to health and human services, education, rebates, put those monies back into services. The Senate is discussing tax rebates and tax reductions and less monies for education services. So there begins the debate. The The governor's proposed a 2% increase, additional increase on formula, significant investment in reducing special education cross subsidy and English language learner subsidies and other education budget-related items. We believe that there is a great opportunity for us to get traction on our transportation bill. You'll recall last year, we had our transportation bills included in the budget in the final days. And then as they did their negotiations and decided to put funds heavily under the formula, they gutted all the other special bills, ours included. But you can see here with House File 917 and Senate File 408 that we're already moving our bills along in the process to be included in ultimate spending bills should they do a spending bill. We have meetings scheduled with legislators beginning next week, and we'll start our lobbying efforts as we work through the legislative session. And lastly, we are open for taking Hall of Fame nominations. Nominations are open until March 18th. We will induct Hall of Fame members along with the academic award ceremony on Monday, June 6th, the grand celebration and ceremony that we have in the spring. This will be the first year in 2 years that we have held the Hall of Fame. So we're excited to return to the Hall of Fame, and we are advertising, welcoming, and encouraging folks to think about folks to nominate for the Hall of Fame, both the District Hall of Fame and the Arts and Academic Award. With that, I'll take any other questions. Is that in my report?
All right. Seeing no questions or comments, we'll move on. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll move on to action items. 8.1, Forest Lake Area Staff Retirement Notices. Do we have a motion for 8.1?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion.
I added the years, because I know that Member Landstrom would always do that. It's 240 years of service amongst all these wonderful people, employees that are retiring. So, can I read them?
Absolutely.
Would that be okay? So the first one is Leanne Brockman, after 31 years of service. Tim Brockman, 33 years of service. Right.
26.
Oh, I'm sorry, 26 years. I jumped up to what?
It seems like 30.
It just seems like, yes. It just seems like longer. Lisa is a Guzzi, 33 years of service. Fran Clausen, 25 years of service. Barry Lampe, 3 years of service. Julie Larson, 36 years of service. Rosalie Wally, 25 years of service. June Brakowski, 33 years of service. And Cindy Turi, 28 years of service. So,
Does anybody have an updated?
I got the open one
All right,
online.
so the number that you added,
am I missing?
Yeah, they are.
missing some. Oh,
yep. So
I only have the one page.
Yeah, so did you catch Fran Clausen, 25 years of service, then Barry Lampe, 3 years of service.
Yeah.
Julie Larson, 36 years of service.
Yeah.
Allison Lindeman with 38 years of service. Sue Mullen with 18 years of service. Rosalie Wally with 25 years of service. June Brakowski with 33 years of service. Pamela Schultz, 36 years of service. Cindy Turi with 28 years of service. And Daniel Winkleman with 50 years of service. Yeah,
So
there was
it's
an
definitely-
updated one this morning.
Oh, that's why.
That's sort of
Okay, so it's more than 240. It's a lot more.
A lot more.
A lot more, so I
Oh,
apologize.
yeah, over
for
300.
incorrect.
Even they
So, I would have gotten it right. I did it early in the day, so that's my problem, so, yeah.
Yeah, thank you to all of those. Member Rayfield?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a personal thanks to Tim. He's supported our board and just done, he's just been such a mainstay of the district. And so I just wanted to thank you, and I'm sure you're aware that any business that had a network this size and this many users would have 20 or 30 people running it, and so your work is very much appreciated.
Any other comments? I would like to echo that sentiment and keeping our board meetings running smoothly with this amazing equipment that has never failed in the middle of a board meeting. For those who don't know, we have often had some technical issues that have kept these, that Tim has stepped right in and kept this thing going. Many times I've seen some very interesting things happen along the board meeting. So thank you so much for your work for the district, and you'll be greatly missed. And all of our staff who put so much time in, that experience leaving the district it's remarkable, one, in the number of years that folks have chosen to work for us, which is just amazing. I mean, 50 years. I'd like to point out that Dan Winkleman became a teacher before I was born. I think that's important. So, yeah, I mean, amazing service for these folks. So, any other comments?
You are third grade teacher.
Oh, very cool.
Thank
Sure, he's still teaching. I just have a shout out to Julie Larson. She's been a long-term friend and a wonderful teacher for 3 of my boys at Forest Lake Elementary, and she's been a great mentor for many a staff throughout the years, and she'll be greatly missed. I know her husband retired recently, so I'm sure they'll be enjoying their retirement together, and many happy years ahead for them. But a special shout out for a wonderful teacher.
Yeah, and you know, as sad as it is to see us lose all that experience, I'm very happy for those folks to go on and enjoy their retirement and do the things that they haven't been able to do. So congratulations to all of them. And with that, I would entertain, we have a motion on the floor, so all those in favor of approving the motion signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We'll move on to A2, donations, and Member Ketto is gone tonight. Would anyone like to fill in? Otherwise, I would be happy to read them.
I can do that.
Sure.
Please, great. All right, for donations, we've got $15,000 from Priscilla and George Meredith for a telescope for the Forest Lake High School Science Department, which is very cool. $6,000 from the Forest Lake Football Boosters. $5,000 from Chops Incorporated to be used to build and support the drumline and band programs, and $700 to Winter Drumline and $4,300 to band. $5,000 to the Minnesota from the Minnesota Truck Headquarters to be used to assist Forest Lake families in need for activity fees. $4,293 from the Forest Lake Wrestling Boosters. $3,500 from various community members to help with the STEP program. $2,200 from Jeff Toki for gift cards for food support for families in need. $483 from the Scanded PTO for student planners for grades 4 through 6. $149 from the Forest Lake Lions Club for literacy materials for academic support at Scandia. $40 from the Target Corporation for the STEM program, and that gives us a total of $41,182. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to accept gifts to the district.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion?
Wow.
As always.
Yeah, it's so great to see such a generous community donating to our district. Always, I mean, it's just amazing the way the community supports us. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting tonight's donation signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll move on to A3, approve proposed 2022 through 23 school board meeting dates.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. You'll see in front of you the proposed meeting dates as follows. The same schedule with the first Thursday of the month and the third Thursday of the month. The full board meeting being the first meeting, committees and a business meeting, so to speak, in mid-month. The only exception to that schedule would be the October meeting due to the MEA break, moving that mid-month meeting to the second Thursday, which would be October 13th.
Do we have a motion on A3?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll move on to 8.4, Transportation Employee Drug and Alcohol Policy, 430, Dr. Massey.
The School Board Policy Committee has reviewed this policy and they are presenting it to the school board with no changes. And just briefly, with respect to this policy, all school district transportation employees whose positions require a commercial driver's license will be required to undergo drug and alcohol testing in accordance with federal law and the applicable provisions of this policy. Again, the policy committee has reviewed the policy and are recommending no changes at this time. Administration would recommend that you approve it.
Have a motion for 8.4.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion? Hearing none, Member Rayfield, would you please take a roll call?
Sure. Member Luther.
Aye.
Member Landstrom.
Aye.
Member Rayfield votes aye. Member Corcoran.
Aye.
And Member Peterson.
Aye. Motion passes. We'll move to 8.5, Bullying Prohibition Policy 541. Dr. Massey.
The purpose of this policy is to assist the school district in its goal of preventing and responding to acts of bullying, intimidation, violence, reprisal, retaliation, and other similar disruptive and detrimental behavior. The Policy Committee has spent time reviewing this policy and are recommending no changes. And administration would recommend approval.
Do we have a motion on 8.5?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion? Hearing none, Member Rayfield, would you please take a roll call?
Member Landstrom.
Aye.
Member Rayfield votes aye. Member Corcoran.
Aye.
Member Peterson.
Aye.
And Member Luther.
Aye.
Moving on, new business, first reading 9.1, first reading school board member reimbursement guidelines policy 103A.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll work through each of these policies requiring no action tonight, as this is the first reading. This policy states that it's the practice of the school district to reimburse board members for expenses incurred in travel, where such travel is to represent the school district as a board member. And you can see the recommended changes to a couple of items there on the second page in item number 4. Again, we'll seek approval at the next meeting.
Move to 9.2, the first reading school board weapons policy 532.
The current school weapons policy was adopted by the school board in 2004 and is in need of updating. So you'll see in this policy some recommended updates for MSBA. Specifically on page 2, you'll see the addition of language defining dangerous weapon. I would encourage you to read through that, become familiar with that change listed there. Additionally, added language regarding the role of the principal in implementing this policy. And then some reporting requirements listed on page 5.
Thank you, Dr. Massey. We'll move to 9.3, first reading school district testing plan and procedure policy 614.
The current school district testing plan and procedure policy was reviewed by the board in 2005. Much has changed since then. So you'll see strike-through language on the old language in the old policy. All of that being stricken, and then with language replacing that again, language presented by MSBA as model and recommended policy. Well, obviously I won't read through this, but I encourage you to take time to become familiar with that. This policy guides the district in meeting state and other testing requirements.
Thank you, Dr. Massey. And with that, we'll move to 10, review your upcoming calendar dates. And on to 11, at this time, we will recess the board meeting to move into a closed session to discuss contract negotiation strategies. And Forest Lake Education Association. We'll take a 5-minute recess.